So YouTube, welcome back to the channel. We got 15 smartest smugglers of all time. Cause from the cover it show a bird with drug in his back. Who did that? How you do that? Alright, we about to start this video, man.
Smugglers were trying to think of a way to smuggle cigarettes manufactured in Belarus to Poland, which would then be moved to Germany and then the UK.
Dang.
They decided one of the best methods would be to hollow out tree trunks and stuff packets inside. What they probably didn't anticipate was that the real trees would be a lot heavier than those stuffed with cigarettes. Customs officers at the Yagodin checkpoint at the Ukrainian-Polish border decided to carry out a random check and discovered that one of the trunks had been hollowed out. On closer inspection, they noticed that heaps of them had been hollowed out. They said it was almost impossible to tell the difference, but the weight was a dead giveaway that something wasn't quite right. Inside 27 tons of timber, 55 tree trunks were tampered with and contained 25,000 packets of cigarettes. The find was made on the Ukrainian...
They smart, but they not smart. Y'all should have been like, now we gotta see if it's the same weight as a regular tree or something like that. Because different trees would... How do you...
inside of the border, and guards
even
used
do that?
chainsaws to cut into the logs.
They got it
The
perfectly.
cigarettes were tightly packed inside. You gotta hand it to the smugglers. They really put on their thinking caps for this job.
But they got...
Like this video, smash the subscribe button and click
Y'all
the
should
notification
check
bell
the
right
weight.
now, or this. You can see the pigeon cut open, full of drugs. These pigeons are fakes, made by some incredibly clever smugglers. Nobody would think to check a bird to see if they were full of illegal pills, making these fake birds the perfect way to smuggle drugs. Quite ingenious if you ask us. Comment down below with the hashtag OddTopic and let us know your opinion in relation to what we just showed on screen.
China or
With that
something.
said, let's keep things
Arabia or
moving.
something.
Number 14. Gold inside soap. While we wouldn't
Gold
call
in
these people
soap.
the smartest smugglers in history, they actually
I
did a
think so.
pretty good job of hiding gold they shouldn't have had, or should have at least declared. But you just
They
can't
come
beat
through.
airport officials who are always on the lookout for people trying to smuggle things into or out of a country. At a Mangalore International Airport, customs officials seized gold granules worth around $325 that a passenger had concealed inside a bottle of chocolate syrup and 4 soap bars. He had arrived at the airport early in the morning on an Air India Express flight from Dubai. After the discovery, he was arrested. The same thing happened to another man, but on a much larger scale. Customs officers discovered more than $50,000 worth of gold inside soap at the Tiruchirappalli International Airport in Tamil.
So ain't no type of way you can get away with that. So he had a little packet. He can't just put one in his pocket, or it's gonna the little metal detector.
Nadu.
Dang, there was a little packet too. I
The
feel like they could
smugglers
have
had
put that
gone to
somewhere
great
else.
effort to hollow out the soap carefully, then formed gold pouches wrapped in black plastic to fill in the
should've
gaps.
melted the soap
They
and
were
then
then
put it
put
back.
back in their packaging so that no one would be
But,
any the
you know, they ain't
wiser.
gonna know how to do
But
that.
they
The
were
factory know how to
wise,
do that.
and that man would have also been arrested for his smuggling efforts. Number 13. Cash smuggling. Have you ever watched Border
they
Wars
federal.
on National Geographic?
They
This
gotta be
show is
federal.
proof that anyone
Yep.
can be a smuggler, even a family. In one episode, they showed a family who looked every bit as innocent as you would expect a family to look. But they
Man, check
weren't innocent at all.
But y'all
Instead,
wanna put it
they
in the
were
air filter.
smuggling a massive amount of cartel cash. A husband, wife, and 3 children pull up to the border crossing in a white SUV. They say they've been in the United States for around an hour and were shopping for school supplies.
¿Cruzaron por acá?
So why they took the money though?
Armas, municiones.
Oh, it's cartel.
Their story
money. How
seems
you know
to
it's
check out
cartel money?
until the border workers noticed scratching on the trunk and tampering around the windshield wipers. Because the car is new and the scratches look out of place, they decide to investigate further. Upon opening the hood, they notice
Dang.
a panel at the back that appears to be a wall. By bending it open, they discovered 26 packages containing at least $400,000. The border workers said they would then tow the car away into the seizure lot for further checks and spend the next 5 or 6 hours counting the money. Number 12.
How y'all know it's drug money though? They can't have money at all or something? Like what the
Smugglers caught on camera.
I'm confused.
It goes without saying that prison isn't gonna be a fun time. You don't have the freedom to do anything you please. So some criminals get creative with how they attempt to smuggle contraband into the prison's four walls. Corrections officers expect this though, so they are always on guard. In 2017, the Ministry of Justice released footage showing a gang using a drone to deliver contraband items to the tune of between 600,000 and 1 million pounds into the prison. Craig Hickenbottom, the ringleader, organized everything from behind bars. As a result of his actions, he was given an extra 7 years and 2 months in prison. The footage shows two people climbing a fence with a yellow bag and a drone. They then proceed to strap the cargo with fishing line to the drone. They flew it from a nearby field over a hedge and into the prison grounds. They were caught on camera several times, taking in items like weapons, drugs, phones, and even a Freeview box so the prisoners could catch up on their favorite shows. Cameras inside the prison showed a ringleader with an improvised hook. With it, he caught the line attached to the drone to bring in the goodies. According to the officer that caught them, the ringleader had organized at least 50 flights. Number 11. Snakes.
But they still be having drugs in prison though, without him doing it. So I don't know.
Taped to smugglers'
Snakes
bodies.
taped to.
It's not just cash, drugs, and gold that get smuggled from one place to another. It can also be animals. A 22-year-old Norwegian man had been pulled aside for a spot check, and customs officers noticed a tarantula casually cruising around one of his bags. That was a red flag for the customs officers, who pulled the man aside to carry out a more thorough check. They may have expected a few more spiders, but they discovered a whole lot more than that.
What kind
Instead,
of snake
the man had 14 non-venomous royal pythons rolled up in socks and taped around his torso. But that wasn't all. Each of his legs had small tails strapped to them, each containing a single albino.
Them police be doing that for years, so they know what to check, bro. So, I don't know if you can smuggle stuff still. They probably make you take everything off.
Leopard gecko. Before being able to leave the town of Kristiansand after arriving from Denmark by ferry, the man was arrested. Unfortunately, animal smuggling is all too common, particularly in Norway. There are many prohibited species of animals, so people attempt to bring them in from other countries in some unique ways. We can't imagine this guy got off too lightly.
So do they catch every person though?
Man in wife's suitcase. Jail sentences can be tough on families. While you're outside living your life, your loved one is locked up with very few things to keep them entertained or happy. But if there's one thing you shouldn't do, it's try and smuggle them out. After all, they do the crime, they do the time. Maria Del Mar Arjona was a pregnant 19-year-old woman whose husband was serving a 20-year jail sentence for various crimes at a Chetumal prison. On a conjugal visit, she took a large suitcase with her, which initially didn't raise any suspicions. After all, she was staying with him, so she needed clothes, right? But as she went to leave, guards noticed that she was struggling with her suitcase a bit. It seemed heavier and more awkward on its wheels. The guards also noted that Maria seemed a little nervous. If you were just carrying your clothing, that probably wouldn't be the case. Before she could leave the main doors, she was stopped. Inside her bag was her husband, who was just wearing his socks and underwear.
I know that boy was uncomfortable in there. He like, oh, you got us called. Told you not to look nervous. Told you not to look nervous. Just put me in the bag. Use your woman muscles and pull me out of here. Nah, he knew that wasn't gonna work.
He was promptly sent back to his cell, and we're gonna take a guess here and say those conjugal visits were no longer allowed. Number 9.
Ruined it.
Man inside car seat. Border officers have to be at their very best at any time of the day or night. If they aren't, they may just miss some of the crazy ways that people try and smuggle goods and people over the border. In March, an 18-year-old U.S. citizen was stopped at the Calexico West port entry at around 1 a.m. in a black Mitsubishi. Something must have seemed off to officers because they sent the driver and her vehicle for further inspection. On the surface, nothing seemed amiss. She was crossing the border and was the sole occupant in the car. But once the border officers got the canine team involved, they quickly realized that wasn't the case at all. The dogs were particularly interested in the rear seat. Underneath the seat cushions in a compartment that they described as non-factory was a 48-year-old Mexican national. He was taken into custody at the Imperial County Jail, and the woman was awaiting criminal proceedings. According to the CBP Director of Field Operations for San Diego,
they've been doing this for years. Ain't no way. Cause I was thinking to myself, I was like, what if y'all hide in the seat, or if they had the gold packets, they could hide them in the seat, inside the seat. And then the dogs can't smell it unless they know what gold smell like. And then, yeah, he could have put all that. That man could have put all that gold in the seat or the money inside the seat, and they probably would have never found it. I'd be thinking, ooh.
Their national security mission was to protect the American homeland from threats. He said this was an example of inhumane tactics used to circumvent our laws. Number 8. Drugs in car seat. Drugs continue to be a massive problem around the world, so border patrols do their best to stop them from being smuggled from one country into another. It's their eye for detail that led them to uncover around $200,000 worth of drugs hidden inside a car seat. In 2017, border officers had stopped a vehicle at around 9 a.m. at the El Centro border. While they were inspecting it, the K9 unit alerted officers that something was amiss.
That's because the seat was loose. If y'all hook the seat back up and make it look normal,
that was when they managed to find 5 sealed packages of drugs in the vehicle's rear passenger seats.
I think I want to bet it's going to be cocaine.
In total, there were around 12.5 pounds of drugs with a street value of close to $200,000.
They so stupid, bro. All y'all had to do is, if y'all was going to try to do that, all y'all had to do is take y'all time. Y'all want to hurry up and do stuff. Think y'all sleep, bro. You gotta take your time when you do something like that, bro. You gotta take the whole seat apart, then start taking nails out. Then you can carve that out, put the stuff back on, and hook it back up. They cut the whole seat off and just laid it on top. Like, they ain't even effort trying not to get caught. So they deserve to get caught.
Citizen, and they were turned over to the Drug Enforcement Administration along with the narcotics and vehicle. Prior to that discovery, border officers at the El Centro
covered that up with another layer
of hundreds of pounds of drugs in a single year. No matter how well these smart smugglers think they've hidden things, border officers almost always find them. Number 7. Phones strapped to a body. A lot of things are banned in China, like violent video games, fireworks, and some books.
I ain't moving to China. They say violent video games and not what?
Green Eggs and Ham by Dr. Seuss. But do you know what else is banned? The act of smuggling phones. Phones and electronics tend to be far more expensive in mainland China than in regions nearby like Hong Kong. So, to save a few bucks, some people hire people to smuggle electronics in from outside of mainland China, or they do it themselves. They can then avoid paying import tax and...
Why not order the phone from there?
Sell them for a profit. But sometimes people who do that get caught. In 2015, a man was arrested at China's border with a whopping 94 iPhones strapped to his body. He had used plastic bags and tape to strap 6 and 6 plus Apple iPhones to his torso, calves, thighs, and crotch. Apparently, officials had noticed he was walking funny and stopped him. They then seized the phones and held the man in custody. You'd be walking funny too if you had nearly 100 phones attached to your body.
How much money
Sometimes
that
it's
is?
hard enough trying to carry around one.
Or like a band.
Number 6. Live hummingbirds in trousers. If you've ever sat next to a nervous flyer, you would notice they tend to fidget, sweat, and keep an eye on the closest exit. But if you happen to see a Dutch traveler moving around in his seat back in 2011, then that wasn't why he was fidgeting. He had live hummingbirds in his pants. Yeah, that's right, birds in his pants. Authorities noticed that the man was acting suspiciously. You would be too if you were carrying more than just your luggage. French customs officers then detained him at the Rochambeau airport in Cayenne, French Guiana. When they held the man aside, they found over a dozen live hummingbirds wrapped up in pouches that he had sewn into the front of his pants. The little parcels were secured in place with cloth tape to stop the birds from flitting about while in his pants. But we can only imagine that those beaks could have done a number on his legs. They didn't appear to have been sedated during the flight, but the birds seemed to be alive. Apparently, this wasn't their first rodeo either. He had been convicted before for smuggling hummingbirds. It's unknown whether he was sentenced this time around, but we can only imagine that would have been the likely outcome. Number 5. Truckload of ammo. In the southernmost city of Texas, Brownsville, stolen cars are often used for smuggling contraband. So there's a special investigations unit set up for car thefts and narcotics to investigate reports of vehicles being used in smuggling activities.
Our unit, the Special Investigations Unit, consists of primarily auto theft and narcotics.
In one particular case, officers inspect a suspicious pickup truck in a lot that they suspect will be exported to Mexico. At first glance, it looks like an ordinary pickup truck, but something is hiding within it that they possibly weren't expecting. The canine unit alerts them to something around the truck bed area. They notice that the tailgate is welded shut and the bed liner has been altered. The base of the liner isn't flat and there are loose and new-looking bolts keeping it in place. Once they remove the liner, they find thousands of loose ammunition, as well as magazines and a few guns. The truck bed is about 3 inches deep with loose ammo. The officers definitely have their work cut out for them, as they have to count each piece of ammo and separate it into the various sizes. While it is a massive haul, they say it's a mere fraction of what people attempt to smuggle into and out of the U.S.
Oh no.
Number 4. Man dresses as car seat.
If I was on the office, I'd get tired of my job. I'm like, oh man, let's let them smuggle it. Like, I'm not finna take all that off the truck. You gonna have one coworker, but come on, bro, I'm gonna tell the boss. Snitching addict.
While not smuggling per se, this is a hilarious attempt at hiding a person so a vehicle can look like it's driving itself. A man dresses as a car seat, and other drivers and pedestrians are confused about whether the van's driving itself. The goal of this experiment is to gather research for autonomous vehicles. The man behind the wheel wants to get an idea of how people respond to driverless vehicles. What immediately became apparent is that when the vehicle stops at pedestrian crossings, some give the vehicle a wave to thank it for stopping. They don't notice that there isn't anyone in it. The Ford has 2 white lights at the front that mean different things. When it's moving side to side, that means the car will stop. If it starts blinking, it means it's gonna start up again. Autonomous vehicle manufacturers want to create an international language that shows people what a car's planning on doing so they can plan their next moves accordingly. Researchers who traveled around in these self-driving vehicles collected about 150 hours and 1,800 miles of data to review at a later date. Number 3. Smugglers leave Jeep on border fence. Illegal border crossings are nothing unusual, but what is unusual is this method for trying to cross a border, using a vehicle and ramps. In 2012, suspected smugglers had set up ramps at the U.S.-Mexico border in the southeast corner of California by the Imperial Sand Dunes. They then attempted to drive an SUV over the 14-foot border fence using those ramps. As you can imagine, it didn't go to plan. These boys trying to come over here for what, man? We got a lot of killing over here, but you're not trying to come over here, man. Stuck at the very top of the barrier. Agents at the border spotted the vehicle and noticed 2 smugglers trying to free it when they approached. They abandoned the car and ran into Mexico to escape being caught. The border officials said the Jeep was empty, but it was likely filled with contraband before it got stuck on the fence.
So they gotta
Believe
wait?
it or not, this isn't the first time people have tried to drive over the border wall. It had been successfully pulled off the year before, but the vehicle's occupants were immediately captured. Given the lack of vegetation around this part of the border, it's not exactly easy to camouflage
they
a
ran into
massive
Mexico.
vehicle climbing the border wall.
Y'all see
They're
all the
just
miles
bound
y'all
to
gotta
get
walk.
caught, so we wouldn't call these smugglers very smart. Number 2. Drugs in fake belly. Smugglers are getting smarter and smarter. We hate to think just how many contraband items have been missed due to how many unique methods they have for hiding them.
I bet she
However,
messed it up
just
somehow.
as smugglers are getting smarter,
Exactly.
so too are airport workers and
You stupid. They gotta check you either way, bruh. So either you gonna make the stomach look real, like actual, take your time, and get the color tone. They just
border
so slow,
officers.
bruh.
la cual pretendía sacar 2 kilos de cocaína del aeropuerto internacional El Dorado.
In September 2020, a pregnant Canadian citizen was lining up for a routine pat-down as she attempted to leave Colombia. But as it turns out, she wasn't pregnant at all. The customs officer noticed how her belly felt cold and hard, which is not what you would expect with skin and warm blood. It wasn't a baby in there, it was
She didn't even
4
have it
pounds
on
of
right.
drugs. Amazingly, the stomach looked real. When she lifted her shirt, it was a skin-colored stomach with a belly button and stretch lines where you would expect to see them on a real pregnant mother-to-be. Even viewing her side on with her shirt up in the video footage, she still looks like a pregnant woman, not a drug smuggler. Have they got it wrong? Not at all. The baby belly was silicone, and it was strapped to her body with packages of drugs.
They actually, like, them movie actors, bro, they got that, bro. You can order it, and you can just, like, plaster it on your stomach. Like how they be doing the hair. I don't know, bro. I don't know if you can get away at all, bro. Them police officers too smart, bro.
Drugs hidden
Dumb smart.
inside. Number 1. Drugs in implants. It's amazing the lengths that smugglers will go to for a payday. Even going so far as to have surgical procedures to hide the drugs inside their body. Airport security
doing
always
bugs.
go the extra mile with passengers arriving from Bogota, Colombia. This destination is known for its drug trafficking, so many smugglers go to extreme lengths to bring drugs back with them. One woman probably went a little further than most by smuggling drugs inside her implants. After an airport security check in Spain, the woman's story wasn't adding up. She was offering vague answers, so they knew they had to find out more. They immediately thought she might be carrying drugs in her luggage or on her body. They were wrong. She was carrying them in her body. After being patted down by a female officer,
And I forgot they got the. Ain't no way, man. Ain't no way you can smuggle. But people still smuggling stuff though. So how they doing it? I guess they can't catch everybody.
they discovered bandages with blood on them underneath her. These were covering incisions. The woman said she had new implants and they must not have healed properly. Police weren't convinced, and she was taken to a hospital where a medical team removed bags from each, which contained 3 pounds of drugs worth around $35,000 a pound.
Jesus.
These smugglers clearly have a lot of smarts, which makes you wonder why they didn't use them for good, like a lawyer, doctor, or stockbroker. Which instance of smuggling surprised you the most?
All
I'm
of
amazed
them.
that these people
I'm
even
surprised
got
they
caught.
didn't get away.
Also, check out our other cool
How
stuff
do they get away?
showing
Because
up
some
on
of them do be
screen
making it
right
over here,
now.
bro. I think
See
they
you
do
next
like.
time.
If you buy your own plane, can you fly over here from Mexico or wherever they coming from? I don't know. How the cartel be doing it? I don't know. Better dig a tunnel. But that's it for this video. That was the 15 smartest smugglers. I don't even want to call them smart because they didn't get away with it. But that's the end of this video.